Hey, what's up, everybody? This is another video here. We're going to talk about the Dodgers and all of their aggressive behavior. Now, everybody is like, they're going too far. They're messing up baseball. They're destroying it. Blah, 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 blah. But, let's really examine what's going on here, right? Now, if you we're going to kind of read into like the in between the air droplets here, right? The raindrops. So Andrew Freeman, the president of operations for the Dodgers for about 10 years now, he has said that he'd rather spend the money now than spend the money in July. Now, here's a great observation about this whole deal, right? Now, when you spend money at the trading deadline, you're literally breaking the bank for these players. And what's interesting about the whole deal is, if you think about it, it makes sense. Spend the money now, get the player for the whole year, good, better, and different. The Dodgers already have a good fundamental base of a team, right? I mean, they're the Blue Empire. And so with that being said, if you think about the efficiency, or if you think about more bang for your buck, spending money now in the preseason, having a solid team, versus spending money at the trade deadline where you're going to overpay for everybody. There have been so many stories about players being overpaid above their value, or they're paid at their value, but they just don't produce. Like, there's a ton of issues there, right? So theoretically, the Dodgers are actually one of the smartest teams financially, because they've taken advantage of the whole deferral thing, right? But here's the reason why, but that's also a catch-22. You can't offer a deferral program if you're not invested in your players long-term. And this is what I mean, is players want a place that they can go where maybe they can create an afterlife from baseball, right? So if you want to look at the very obvious parallel to this, is the Dallas Cowboys quarterbacks in football, right? Troy Aikman, Tony Romo. These guys have made almost more money being a broadcaster because of being part of the Cowboys organization than they did while playing. Michael Reuben, Daryl Johnston, Emmitt Smith. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. But, so if you're with the Los Angeles Dodgers and you end your career there, you could potentially find your way to other organizations or to within the Dodgers organization in some capacity, where if you get hired by them, then you could potentially put yourself in a position where, if you didn't play enough years of service, that you can still become a manager, a coach, or a trainer, which still qualifies for the pension. So if that funnel exists for the Dodgers, that's the reason why players are attracted to that team. And the popularity, the aggressiveness. I mean, here it is, right? The Dodgers have made the playoffs 12 years in a row. Now, in the modern era, right? So then they're going to make the postseason, and people get postseason checks if you win the whole thing. There's a pool of money. For some players, it doesn't matter. Like Shohei Ohtani makes so much money in sponsorships, makes so much money in base salary, in deferred salary. That World Series check doesn't matter. But there's some people, some players that are in their 1 through 5 year contracts that are not that much. So it can impact them, right? So you want to be part of the organization that is aggressively pursuing every year, in and out, going to the playoffs. Now, did they get knocked out? Yeah. Do they have injuries? Yeah. Now, the end of last year's Dodgers run, they had so many injuries. The reason why it was so dramatic in last year's 2024 World Series, we're going to double back here, is because the expectation was low. Even though we have a really good team, even though we have a lot of good players, everybody was hurt. I mean, everybody. The injury bug was real with the Dodgers. So the Padres had a real chance. A lot of teams had a real chance. The Padres are probably a better team. However, with the Dodgers being near 100% at the time when they played in the playoffs, they didn't have a chance. There was a lot of momentum that the Dodgers had. A lot of pressure was on some of these big dollar players, and they produced, right? And then, of course, you play the New York Yankees. So then another observation about this is, so to sum that part up is, Andrew Friedman and the president of operations is being efficient with how he's spending his money. Even though they have more money than everybody, they should be spending that kind of money, right? The second observation is, there's a lot of TV money that baseball teams are not using. They're just taking in profits. So this is going to push teams to spend more and to be more invested in the international game. Now, the Los Angeles Dodgers, are notorious for investing in the international player from Mexico, Japan, et cetera, et cetera. They just signed a kid from the Sudan, and that's going to be a long road. Chances are that might not work out. It's possible, but it's hard for an American-born player to succeed. It takes years and years and years of development. Can it be done? Of course. But, so there's that with the Dodgers, right? The observation is, and I'll end it with this other observation, is when the Dodgers have a crazy expectation now, the coaching, I mean, you have Dave Roberts, who is 9 years in to his tenure. He has 2 World Series rings, has made the playoff every single year, and has 5 100-win seasons. And it would have been a 6, but the shortened baseball season, that percentage was unreal. But if he just holds pace for 3 or 4 more years and wins 2 more rings, he'll go down as the most efficient, the most, he might be a coach that has gone to the playoffs the most times and most consecutive. Like he's doing all of that. A lot of people didn't believe in Dave Roberts, me included. Dave Roberts at the very beginning would make some of these bump in the road decisions that were kind of the reason why sometimes the Dodgers faltered. He allowed Clayton Kershaw early in his career when Dave Roberts just became the manager. Clayton Kershaw kind of was having that playoff, he would kind of mess up in the playoffs. He didn't recognize that early enough. And he would kind of let us kind of, like Kershaw was just, he was just stinking in the playoffs, that's all. It's not that Clayton Kershaw is not a competent player. He should have been pulled from a lot of games. So it seems like Dave Roberts now is the best version of himself in terms of his coaching strategy. I mean, here's another thing too, right? And I could talk on and on about Dave Roberts, but if you think it's easy to manage a team that has the highest expectation and the most superstars in one roster probably ever, you know, at least in the last 50 years. I mean, this is a team of all teams. In 2025, it's going to be the team of all teams squared, right? And so his job might be the hardest job in the majors because, number one, there is no expectation except winning a World Series. Like, that's it. There's not make the playoffs. There's not win the division. There's not have a winning record. There's not keeping all the players healthy. Like, you got to go for broke this year. So Dave Roberts' job is, I don't want to say, like he did it last year. That was a very tough road, shuffling the lineups, dealing with the pitcher injuries. I think you're going to see a little bit less injuries in the pitching across all of Major League because now I think they're starting to understand the requirements. I think everybody's going to go to a 6-man rotation. Maybe some teams will go to a 7-man rotation. We're going to see how that plays out. And so Dave Roberts has the strategy of all strategies. How do you manage the superstar team, the all-star team, so that, one, they stay healthy, they stay consistent, they beat the teams they're supposed to, and beat the teams that they're not, and keep everything fresh and rolling and reduce injuries? How do you maintain that rotation so that they can hit the ground running and go all the way to the end of the season? See, that's kind of what that's kind of, I think, the challenge right there is. The Dodgers have the ability to win a bunch of games, but I think they also could really implode. And that's a Dave Roberts issue. So, to sum up this video, actually, I'm not going to sum up the video. Like, subscribe, follow, let me know what you think. We're on the nature trail again. We're making a video, kind of killing 2 birds with 1 stone. These are my random thoughts about the state of the Los Angeles Dodgers. And I think people are not understanding what's happening. That's it. Tell me what you guys think. Let me know in the comments. There was a really good comment on my last YouTube video that had some great observations, and it was good stuff. So, for the most part, I read all the comments. I'll respond. I want your thoughts. Talk to you guys later. Bye.